everyone, welcome. Let's talk about Kaladesh. So, I was going to make a set review in text, but it took way too long to do. I did one for, I think it was Dragons of Tarkir, and it takes so long. So I had to give that idea up, but instead we will get a video out. So let's prepare for the Kaladesh pre-release. And why am I doing this now and not for anything previous to Kaladesh? Well, it's because I've been working like every pre-release since Dragons of Tarkir. So that's it, but let's get on with this and jump into Kaladesh. So the first thing that we should just quickly mention is the mechanics. It's not just mechanics in the sense that it's not just keywords and stuff, but let's just dive into it and see what I mean. So we have fabricate. So what fabricate means is that you can either put a +1/+1 counter on the creature that has fabricate, or create a 1/1 colorless artifact server token, to be exact. So the higher the number of fabricate, the more tokens or +1/+1 counters is available to you, and this is a fantastic mechanic that will define this limited format, I think. I mean, you just won't be able to play like a 2/1 in this format. That's just no point. If you play a 2/1 and your opponent plays a Glint Sleeve Artisan and makes a 1/1, it's like, yeah, tough luck. And I mean, okay, let's say a 3/1, because otherwise you would probably just make this a 3/3 anyway, but it's so good. And it's so good to be able to split it up into several permanents, because you also dodge spot removal. Spot removal will be a lot worse when you create a bunch of tokens. And if that doesn't suit your purpose, well, then you get a bigger creature. And that's just fantastic. And to top it all off, you get to choose. You have a choice. And having a choice is always good. So fabricate, I'm very positive. I think it will be really strong, and it will be hard to go wrong with any of the fabricate cards, really. So keep an eye out for those. They're pretty good. Then we have vehicles, and I have to be honest, I've been thinking about how to implement a similar ability into the game for several years, and I just couldn't find a good way to do it. But Wizards made it happen, and they said the same thing, that this is something they've been trying to do for years, but they just couldn't do it, and now they finally worked it out. So vehicles is basically what it is a reversed equipment, sort of, because you play it and it doesn't do anything, and then you need a creature just like an equipment, but when you're going into combat, it's the equipment that's in danger, not the creature that's wielding it. So that's kind of neat. So vehicles obviously needs a crew. So what you do is you have to tap any number of creatures that adds up to the crew number or more. So this one, for example, needs crew 1, so you need 1 power. You need a server token, for example. Then you can attack with this. So let's say you play this, and then on turn 3 you play Glint Sleeve Artisan and make a server token. Then you have a 2/2 that is free to attack, and a 2/3 flying that can attack. If you don't crew this, however, it just sits there, it does nothing. And it also just lasts until end of turn. So I think the vehicles are very powerful. They're pumped up a lot. I mean, you wouldn't really see a 2/3 flying creature for 2 colorless in any other set. But I think if you can build around it, vehicles will be really good. I do want to say though that I think there is a maximum number of vehicles you can have. I'm not sure how many, but you can't just jam these instead of a creature. So you'll have to find a good balance there. I think if you're running like 15 creatures, I think you can run 2, maybe 3 vehicles, and then the rest of the slots will be like removal, card draw, and your average stuff. That's probably where you're gonna lose out regarding space. But vehicles, really cool. Keep an eye out for them. They can block as well, of course, if you crew them on your opponent's turn, so that's something to take into consideration as well. Then the last one is energy, and oh boy, this is a major one. It is a format defining thing, because there is nothing like energy previous to Kaladesh, so unless they print more energy cards after Kaladesh and the Revolt, I don't think we will see more, so that's pretty cool. Basically what energy is it's like a form of mana, but it doesn't leave your mana pool between phases and steps, and you can use them whenever you want, basically. So as an example, I picked one of my favorite cards from the set, Either Theorist. It's a 1/3 for 2 that when it enters the battlefield you get 3 energy, and then you can tap him and pay an energy to scry 1. Pretty simple. So a lot of cards will grant you energy as you play them or when they enter the battlefield, and then you will have an ability of sort that uses energy. So either you can use this, get 3 energy, and just use up the energy to scry, or you can pool it to save for something else, like a pump creature or whatever. So what this does, it will give you the ability to have really efficient turns. You can pump without using mana, so you can use them to like use a combat trick or develop your board. I'm very high on energy. I think it's a really good mechanic. So let's dive into the commons. I just put up a top 5 list for each color and 3 notable uncommons and rares. So for white, I think on place number 5 we should probably put Fragmentize. It's just 1 mana, so it's very efficient, and it destroys an artifact or enchantment, but most likely an artifact. But it only hits converted mana cost 4 or less. Now there isn't that many cards that are good and costs 5 or more, but it's still, I mean, I would much rather have just disenchant. That would have been awesome, but this is what we get. And I'm putting it at number 5 because it still has restrictions, so that's probably where it should be. On place 4, or for the 4th place I should say, we have Glintsleeve Artisan, the card that I just talked about. I think it's a perfect card for his limited and this set. It's a dwarf, he smirks a bit, that's fine. 2/2 for 3 is okay, and then you get either a counter, so it's a 3/3, which is really good, or he comes with a servo body that that you can use for other purposes. So really good flexible card, I like it. Number 3 will be Revoke Privileges, and yes, I can see that it's a pacifist, a really good one to boot, but I mean, if you're up against someone who goes like 2-drop that has Fabricate, 3-drop that has Fabricate, and 4-drop that has Fabricate, and you sit there with your pacifist, it's just not gonna work. I think you need to play them, and I think they will be good against a good portion of your opponents, but sometimes they will be stone cold, which I don't like, so I put it a bit lower. At number 2 we have Propeller Pioneer, a 2/1 flying for 4 with Fabricate 1. Now why is this so good? Well, I think that evasion will be key to succeeding in Kaladesh. You either need like flying or unblockable, or you need to be really huge, preferably with trample if possible, because every color has access to multiple good creatures to defend themselves with. So I mean, against some decks you just need to pump this and make it into a 3/2 flying, and it's okay for its mana cost, and it could go all the way easily. And at some games it could be better to just make a server token, but the key here is flying. I think flying will be really good in this set. So I've based my my rankings on that. Flying and trample and unblockable will be extremely good, better than usual, I should say. And I think that reflects in my first pick for white commons. I think Eddy Trailhawk is really good, actually. It's a 1/2 flying for 2, which is okay. I mean, it would have been better as a 2/1 obviously, but the extra toughness is good because it can block server tokens, it can block Thopter tokens and attack past them, which is good. It generates 2 energy, which is good. It can go to any calls, and when it attacks you can pay 1 energy to give another creature you control flying, and there you have it. That's the whole reason. I mean, a good energy sink that can jump anything. You will win the games really easily if you can just jump your good big creatures, and it doesn't even cost mana. Come on, I think this card is extremely good, and we will see if it's the best white common, but it can't be that bad. I just can't see it being bad. It's cheap, efficient, has evasion, grants energy, really good. Notable uncommons and rares, I think Aerial Responder has to be mentioned. The Vampire Dayhawk or Vampire Lighthawk, or whatever you want to call it. It's a 2/3 flying for 3 with vigilance and lifelink. Good luck racing this. I mean, you can't fly past it, you can't attack on the ground. They gain at least 2 life a turn. You should probably, if you if you doubt this card, just try it once, and I think you will see why it's so good. Captured by the Consulate is a fantastic card, and I for limited it's so unfair because you put it on like their big ground creature so it can't attack, and then you fly over, and if they wanna kill anything that you have, they have to first kill their own thing, and there isn't that much that kills big things, for example. So yeah, and then they can spend more mana on a card to kill whatever they wanted to kill. Really good card, easy 2 for 1. Play it, really good. My last notable uncommon and rare for white, I picked Edda Stormrock because I just wanted to highlight again the evasion. 4 mana 3/3 flying, pretty strong already. Gives you just 1 energy, but when it attacks you can pay 2 energy to give it a counter and tap a creature your opponent controls. Super good. I mean, it's not that hard to produce more energy, so this will be a large flying thing that taps. I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous. For blue, we have good creatures and not that good spells, at least not in my opinion. We have Windrake. I mean, it's solid. Everyone has played with Windrake more or less, or some kind of version of it, and I think it will be very good in this format. 2/2 flying will get past most things, and yeah, cheap, efficient, just good all around. I don't think there is much else to say about Windrake really. For number 4, I put Ether Theorist. I wanted to put him higher, but I tried to restrain myself. The thing is, it's really cheap, so it will get down and block, and it blocks very well. It kills tokens. It stops everything with 2 power or less, which is a good majority, and it forces your opponent to put fabricate counters on their creatures, which is kind of what you want to be doing, so that your removal will get better. And then you get to scry, so it's good early, it's good kind of midish game, and it's pretty strong late game as well, since you get to scry. So And you get 3 energy, which is more than most cards provide, so really good. Number 3, we have Select for Inspection. A good bounce spell, a combat trick, whatever. 1 blue to return a tapped creature to its owner's hand, scry 1. And I think this is a rare occasion where we probably rather use it on our own creature. If you can play something with like Fabricate 2 and then like attack with it and return it and replay it, which you probably can do the turn after you played it because, well, it's just 1 mana, and you get a scry. It's so good. And it works well with cards like the Theorist, where you force them to fabricate the creature instead of making tokens, and then you just bounce it. For number 2, we have a 3/3 for 4 that gains flying when you have an artifact enter the battlefield, which should be trivial in the set. So we could see it as a 3/3 flying for 4, which is extremely good. That's just how it is. It will kill your opponent very fast, and yeah, 3/3 seems to be pretty big in the format as well, so that's just how it is. For my first pick in blue, I actually put Gear Seeker Serpent, which I did not think I would do when I first looked at him. A 5/6 for 7 mana. It kinda sounds like the usual stupid blue creature that you just never play. You laugh about it, but you don't. But it has affinity for artifacts, meaning it costs 1 less, 1 colorless, mana less. So if you can fabricate like on turn 3 and maybe turn 4, you can play this. And a 5/6 is actually one of the largest common creatures that the format has to offer. There is a green 6/6 for 6 and like a 6/7 I think construct for 7 mana or something like that. It's really big and it gains unblockable. This kills your opponent by itself in 4 turns. I think this card is really good actually. I think it's really good, and you might not want to play like 4 of them, but 1 and maybe even 2, because let's face it, a 5/6 is really good and unblockable is really good. I think this is, yeah, I think you should play it. Just try it out. I know I will. Notable uncommons, rares will be, I mean, blue is actually pretty deep in this format, at least in my opinion, so it was hard to pick these, but I tried to pick some of them that I think is interesting. So we have a mind control, basically, that gains you 4 energy, and then you can pay X energy to gain control of an artifact or creature that has a converted mana cost of X energy, or X rather. So if you want to take something small, like an efficient flyer, you might actually gain some energy in the process. And if you want to take something big, well, then you have to work for it. Luckily blue is pretty good at producing energy, so this will be your mind control, more or less. Then we have an engine card, Era of Innovation, 2 mana enchantment. Whenever an artifact or artificer enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 and then you get 2 energy. That's very good. And then you can pay 6 energy to draw 3 cards and sacrifice it and draw 3 cards. So you use this as your energy machine, and then when you're done you get to refill your hand. It's incredibly good, and it feels a bit unfair that blue has some decent commons and decent uncommons and an engine card, but that's just how it is. And the last one is another good uncommon, I think. You get to exchange like your server token or prophetic prism for whatever you want, basically. Because you can give them an artifact, but you can get an artifact or creature. So really good. Play it. I think it will be nice. You can see how happy she is with that hammer or whatever it is. Yeah, that's your opponent right there. For black, I have to say I'm disappointed. I think black got the short end of the stick here. Black's usual strength is spot removal, and I think that's pretty bad in this set. But it's still their strength, and I still think it's good. So, I mean, it will never be dead. I'm gonna go with Rush of Vitality for my number 5, and I usually don't put combat tricks here, but you get, for 2 mana, you get +1 in power, lifelink, and indestructible, which means no matter what they have in terms of pump spells or whatever, your creature will survive and you will get a good portion of life back. So it has a pretty good failsafe, I think. The only thing would be like instant speed removal as always, but I think this would be a pretty good combat trick. That depends obviously if combat tricks are good or not, but we will see. For number 4 we have 4-2. I don't even know how to pronounce this. 4-2. It's basically you get to bring back an artifact and a creature card from your graveyard, or one of them if you only have one target. So it's basically draw 2 cards for 3 mana, but you get some kind of selection. If there is one color that can go late, it should be black, and this card will be really, really good. I think so. So the only thing is, do you have time to play it? And if the answer is yes, this card will do the trick for you. Number 3, Subtle Strike. 2 mana instant, that's pretty good. You get to kill a small creature and pump your own permanently, which I think is the it's, had it been +1/+1 and -1/-1, I wouldn't be that impressed. But the fact that the counter sticks is huge. So let's say you attack with 2 2/2s and they block with 2 2/2s. You end up in that exchange with a 2/2 and a 3/3, and they lose both the creatures. That's really good. Really good. For number 2, I had to pick Founders Creature, I think. It's a 2/1 flyer for 3, which is not fantastic, but it should have +1/+0 a good amount of the time. So 3 power flyer, nothing exciting. Hope they don't have a Thop the Token or something, and then just beat the crap out of them basically. For my first pick, I choose Die Young. I picked a spot removal anyway. 2 mana, sorcery, then you can shrink them. You get 2 energy and then you can shrink them. For each energy you get to shrink them -1/-1. So I put it here because it's flexible. You can kill off their first thing and maybe even get an energy over. You can kill something big late. I don't know if this would be that good, but it seems okay. So that's pretty medium to end with, an okay card. I just think black got, yeah, I'm not impressed. So can they make up for this with good uncommons and rares? Well, yes they can. We have Gonti, Lord of Luxury. Oh my god, I do want to play with this. It's a 2/3 Death Touch for 4 that when it enters the battlefield you get to pick up your opponent's top 4 cards, exile 1 face down, and then for the rest of the game basically, for as long as that card is exiled, you can look at it and you can cast it and you can pay for it with any type of mana. You can pick their bomb, or a good removal spell, or a good creature, or whatever you want, and even if Gonti trades off, you still get to cast a card. It's really good. It's like, it's a super easy 2-for-1, and the only way it goes wrong is that you pick like 4 lands or like 3 lands and a really crap like a rampant growth effect. Still extremely good. One of the more interesting cards they've designed, I think. Then we have Underhanded Designs, 2 mana enchantment. Should we bet that this is some kind of engine card? Well, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay 1 mana to drain your opponent for 1 life. That's very good. Fabricate anyone, for example. Then, when you don't need it anymore, you can sack it to kill a creature, no questions asked, except that you have to have 2 or more artifacts, which you should have. So, yay! Really strong. And then I actually wanted to highlight Make Obsolete. 3 mana for an instant that gives creatures your opponent control -1/-1. And I think this is a very important card to have, because the first game your opponent will fabricate in tokens, because that's just what you do. Then you make obsolete, and they will get crushed, most likely. And then for game 2, they won't do that. They will beef up their creatures instead, and that makes spot removal better. Excellent. Very good. Okay, red. Oh my lord, these cards are amazing. I really like red so far. So, number 5, Chandra's Pyrohelix. For 2 mana you get to split 2 damage divided as you choose, and it's an instant. So, either they fabricate tokens and you kill them, or they don't fabricate tokens and you kill them. What else do you want? I put Welding Sparks over it at number 4. It's 3 mana for an instant that deals 3 damage plus the number of artifacts you control, so it could be 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want. It's still cheap, it's efficient, and it's an instant, and it can kill most things, so it's good early, it's good mid, it's good late. I like it. But as I said, I don't think spot removal is that good, so we will see. Above them I put Ruinous Gremlin, and that's a gamble for sure, but it's a 1/1 for 1, but you can sack it for 3 mana to destroy an artifact. So why I think this is good is, you can play it and get in for a couple of damage. Then when you can't attack, you can crew a vehicle, and then when you have to kill something, you can kill something. I think it fills a lot of roles that you want in your deck for a very cheap cost, so I think it will be really good, but we will see about that. At number 2 I put Reckless Fireweaver. It's a 1/3 for 2, which we have already established will be a really good blocker. And whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you get to ping your opponent for 1. Come on, it's no costs, it's nothing. This is insane. It will add up so quickly, and this is obviously one of Red's themes, to have artifacts enter the battlefield. But come on, look at number 1. It's a 2/3 for 3. Okay. Then whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +2/+0 and trample. This is fantastic. It will get through so much damage, and it can easily trigger multiple times a turn. I just think this is fantastic, and it goes well with the Fireweaver. If you curve out Fireweaver, Gremlins, and like a Fabricate 2 card, yay. Uncommons, rares. We got another pinger. I mean, come on, it gives 4 energy, and it pings for 1, but you have to pay 2 energy. But pingers are always good. And then you can pay like 1,000,000 energy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, to ping your opponent for a 6. Good early, good mid, good late. Provides energy. Fantastic. Then I think the most brutal card in the set is Incendiary Sabotage. 4 mana instant, requires you to get rid of an artifact, and then you get to deal 3 damage to each creature, which negates the cost because you're gonna sack something that would die anyway. This is so unfair in this set, I think. If you can take advantage of this, you will get like a 3 or 4 for 1 without any commitment. You should probably take this into consideration when you're playing at the pre-release or whatever. And then Speedway Fanatic. It's a 2/1 haste for 2. So you get in for 2, and then you get to crew vehicles and give them haste. And I think there is one of each, one for each color, but this is definitely the best, because haste it basically negates the drawback of the vehicle, and that's insane. Green, we're gonna step down a bit. I'm gonna take down the power level a bit. So I picked Takedown because it deals with flyers, big or small, or multiples. It's a sorcery, so it's not that good, but it's still just 1 green, and I think it's flexible enough that you can probably play it in your main deck at least 1. But yeah, it's still pretty good. Number 4 we have Larger Than Life, and I just don't like pump spells, but this one I can actually consider making an exception for. For 2 mana we give +4/+4, which is okay. And we give trample. That's the key. We give something trample. We're gonna trample over for so much damage that I don't know. It's just ridiculous. This can end a game from nowhere, so be careful. Then we put the disenchant on number 3. You also gain 3 life, or 2 life, but it costs 3, so it's give or take. I think this one is okay to main deck, like always, because I think it's 51 artifacts in the set. That's a pretty good number. Then we have number 2. My guts tells me that this card will be insane, but we will see. It's a 2/2 for 2, which is good because it gets through a server token, for example. Then when it deals combat damage you get 2 energy, and then you can pay 2 energy to give it a +1/+1 counter. So what I think is going to happen is that you're going to play this, and if your opponent doesn't have anything, great. And if they do, you will have to play something that gives you energy. Then you can attack and they can't block, because you can give it a counter. And then you just get to rack up energy really fast. And this can grow out of hand very quickly. And the key here obviously is it doesn't have the restriction that like all the other cards have, that says when it attacks you may pay. This you can pay whenever, and you don't even need mana for it. That's fantastic, I think. And yeah, for number 1 we have the Tiger. It's a 4/4 4/4 trample for 5. That says when it enters the battlefield you get 2 energy, and when it attacks you can pay 2 energy to give it +2/+2. That's obviously good, but it has that that pesky restriction that it's obviously pretty. It's obviously pretty pretty bad, because then you can't just do it whenever, and it's just 1 trigger, so you can't pump multiples. I'm wondering if is the cub actually uncommon? I don't know, when I searched for commons it came up very... Anyway, it seems really good, but we might have a problem here, but it does look like an uncommon to me. But anyway, good card, so let's see. For uncommons rares we have the Stomper. It's a 5/4 trample for 5, very big, and it gains you 5 life. So it comes down, shuts off the attack, gains you back the life you have lost, and then it just crushes in. Very simple design, very good card. Then we have another engine card. Are you surprised? 2 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1, and then you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. Excuse me. So all you need to do is like jump out the curve a little bit and start fabricating, and you get to put so many +1/+1 counters on your team. And then when you're like on turn 7, maybe 8, you have like a huge board with huge creatures, and then you can stack it to give everything another counter. Amazing. The last card is Ovia Pashiri. The names are a bit strange. 1/2 for 1. For 3 mana you get to create a server token, and for 5 mana you get to create an XX where X is the number of creatures you control. This is the kind of card that you just need to play this, use it. It's like pack rats. So you probably play a 2-drop, then you use this, then you use this, then you use this. This is why we have spot removal. It would be strange to not mention artifacts, but they're strange in this set, I have to say. I mean, we have vehicles, which I don't really know if they're awesome or very bad, but I lean towards awesome. And then we have some color. I mean, they are colorless, but like the puzzle knots, they require a color to be really good, so they're hard to evaluate. So for number 5 I have Prophetic Prism. I think that's a very safe bet to say that it will be decent. For 2 mana you get to cycle a card, trigger artifact things, and you get to fix your mana. And I think that either you're gonna splash for good energy enablers or good energy engine cards, like the green enchantment for example, or maybe like a good spot removal. But you know, you have a good time splashing with this. It's good to reuse as well. For number 4 we have a fantastic wall, an 0/4 with reach, stops everything, and it costs 2 mana, and it triggers all the artifact things. I think this is really good actually, and in the right type of deck this will do tons of work, so don't overlook this guy, or well, I guess this wall. For number 3 I actually put one of the puzzle knots, the one that I think is it's probably the best. The black one is really good too. The black one draws a card and loses a life on enter and sacrifice, so it clearly nets you a card. This does not, but you get to scry 2 and get 2 energy, and then the same when you sack it. So you get 4 energy counters and scry 4. Scry 4 is not draw 2 cards, but together I think it matches up pretty well, and I think energy will be very important. For number 2 I put Sky Skiff. I mean, it's a 2/3 flying. I think flying will be great. Crew 1 is no cost at all basically, and it only costs 2 mana. Enough said. For number 1 I put Renegade Fighter. Come on, it's 3 mana, crew 2, which means you can probably crew it without any problem. It's a 4/3 that when it attacks becomes a 5/4 trample. You can attack with a 5/4 trample on turn 4 with ease. That's very good. Do not overlook this card. So how would I rank the colors in this set? Well, I think black is the worst color, judging on the common's power level and synergies, and also like the backup of the uncommons and rares. I think black is just the worst color, and I mean, it would be pretty far behind the other ones. Then I think green will be at number 4. They have decent creatures and decent spells and some capacity of engines, which I think helps the color up a lot. But I still think white trumps green, because the quality of their individual cards are so good. They do lack the engine cards, I think, but they make up for that with being a good provider of like energy and Thopter tokens and server tokens and whatever. So I think black will be pretty far behind. Then we have green, white pretty close. Then we have blue pretty far behind, far above the other 3, because they have good cards, they're good at making energy, and they're good at using energy. I think blue can be a very efficient color. They also have good creatures, so they can have it all. And then number 1, another giant leap above blue, I think red. Good removal, really good creatures, fantastic synergies, multiple good strategies that they can use, fantastic uncommons and good rares. Come on. I mean, I put Chandra here just to highlight that. I mean, Chandra is here, so that might be why, but geez, I think red is the best. And I would preferably pair it with blue, white, or maybe green. In that order also. Depending on, I guess depending on what kind of strategy I would use. I just don't see black being good. I don't discourage you for picking black or playing black, but in general terms I think black will be worst, and I think green and white will be good, but more like support colors, and then blue and red above them. Final words. I think Kaladesh will be an amazing set to draft and play Seal in. I've seen many people already commenting that this will be the best set ever, and I hope they're right, but will they top Innistrad? Will they top Invasion Block draft? I don't know. Will they top Kamigawa drafts? It's hard to tell. We will see. But anyway, have fun at your pre-release. Play with your favorite cards, because that's what the pre-release are for. If you're gonna like draft and do other stuff just because you like to draft, I think you will get ahead if you can make your deck more synergistic than not. I think this is more of how good does this card make my other cards, or how much better does this card make my other. I can't speak anymore. Bottom line, I think an individually powerful card won't be as good compared to synergies. There you have it. Good sum up. Thanks for watching. I'll bring you more as soon as I can.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, it really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter at MagicGathStrat, Facebook /MagicGatheringStrat, or on the web, magicgatheringstrat.com. There you can find articles and free prize-supported leagues. This is all brought to you by our Patreons and cardhoarder.com. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/MagicGatheringStrat.